What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for episode 7 of our Madden 25 Minnesota Vikings franchise mode titled The Offseason. We are doing everything related to the offseason here in today's episode. We're going to go through free agency. We're going to fall in love with some draft prospects and then hopefully draft them and have an S-tier type draft. We are going to go through undrafted free agency. We're going to quickly get through the preseason, hopefully healthily, and I'm very excited. Because when all is said and done, at the end of the tunnel, there's that light shining. With all due respect for Mr. Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy is back. He's healthy, and I welcome, at absolute minimum, the quarterback competition next offseason. But likely, you look at the stats, you look at my complaints with Sam Darnold. We got bigger arm, we got more mobility, we got more accuracy. There's a reason why he was a first-round pick. First things first, to start this offseason, because we overachieved, I believe it's fair to say, this season, we got 167 staff points at our disposal. We got a kind of tough decision we need to make here, because I think there's a lot of value, especially given the fact that we are going to have J.J. McCarthy full-time next season, to increase the quarterback XP earn rate as much as we possibly can. Also valid is to work our way down the defensive development tree so that we can unlock the final piece, which will give all players on our team scheme fits during training and extra XP. I think this is the one I want to prioritize. We might have enough to get all of them. Do I want to bump up the linebackers and edge? I feel like with the switch in scheme, the value is going to be investing the points on the defensive line. We're going to buy the final piece for $40. We're going to spend 20 here on centers just so that we can unlock the quarterback. Oh, and look at that. Able to max it out 3 of 3. We ended up sending 2 players to the Pro Bowl. Stephon Gilmore makes it in as corner 3 in the NFC, even though he is expected to hit the open market. We are going to have one last period to throw a contract offer at him, which I think could be worth it once we see what the regression potentially looks like. And running back Aaron Jones, who also is set to become a free agent, is the starting running back in the NFC. So we've got some tough decisions to make here contract-wise with some of our top veterans. Breaking down the playoff bracket from the NFC side, very interesting that the Kansas City Chiefs choked up in the first round, let alone we're a 7 seed. None of that is really believable. Chargers and Harbaugh got a win. Tua and the Dolphins rolled on. We got the Jets, old man Aaron Rodgers, taking them on a ride. Baltimore defeats the Dolphins. Ravens defeat the Jets. So close, yet so far away from Aaron Rodgers for the ultimate Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl matchup. From the NFC side, Niners beat the Rams, Eagles beat the Bucks, which nice little revenge win right there. And the Lions defeat the Atlanta Falcons. Philly gets one over on the 49ers on some big brother shit, which is kind of what happens. And in a bitter NFC North rivalry matchup, 34-32, the Green Bay Packers move on. A classic in the NFC Championship game by Green Bay, just too much for the Philadelphia Eagles, setting up an unsurprisingly 1 seed versus 1 seed Super Bowl here in 2024. Before we look at dev traits up or down, we do get our reward for our 2 award winners. Stephon Gilmore for winning defensive back of the, and he is up to an X factor, and I thought he was going to regress off a superstar, and I think we are going to have to pay him for sure. On the other side, we have the reigning, defending defensive rookie of the year here in Dallas Turner, who thrived maybe more than anybody when it came time to switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and he already has earned the reputation as arguably the best young speed rusher in the NFL. So in closing, as far as dev traits up or down are concerned, I am happy to see Aaron Jones did not regress. I'm still not 100% certain that he is going to be worth paying, just because maybe it'll be better long-term to get a younger running back in the pipeline as the starter. But I literally could flip-flop, and as soon as we get to the contracts, I'd be like, it's no harm bringing him back on a short-term deal. Thought John Mechie got screwed a little bit. Thought he played well enough this season to go up a dev trait. I mean, he got 1,000 yards. And that's low, man, to get only 1,000 XP on a 1,000-yard milestone. We've seen in rebuilds, you get 1,000 yards. A lot of times you're getting 10,000 XP, not 1,000 XP. So all around, I thought an outstanding season for Mechie going over 1,000 yards. Thought that would be for sure enough to get him off that normal dev trade. Unfortunately, not the case. And we look on the defensive side of the ball. You know, Stephon Gilmore, winning DB of the year, up to an X factor, so did not face any regression. Harrison Smith is still here. All eyes are on him as he decides his future, whether he's going to continue to play or not, but no regression there. I thought Ivan Pace played well enough to potentially go off dev trade as the leader of our linebacking core. Same with Blake Cashman, who led the team in total tackles. But at 28, he might be at that little spot. He didn't even get it, where you get a dev trade and then you lose it because of your age regression. But very disappointed that, especially for how the defense finished the season, looking at some of the stats that we piled up, not one dev trade up outside of Stephon Gilmore. I think it's a little harsh. And at least it's not a team within our own division winning the Super Bowl as the Green Bay Packers fall to the Baltimore Ravens 21-17, and Lamar finally puts it all together and gets his ring. And I was hoping there was going to be a certain name on this list because I have my concerns. But Harrison Smith is running it back for another season. So we'll deal with that as accordingly. And I mean, you know what? He played better once we made the switch to a 4-3. So maybe I'm being a little harsh. All right, new coach wanted to talk to us about off-season workouts. And I'm definitely not focusing on Sam Darnold as quarterback one. But we're going to talk to Justin Jefferson, who I'm not the biggest fan of those two options. Because Justin Jefferson, if this is about like a potential XP increase, you don't need it. He's a perfect 99. I don't think he can get a whole lot better. But he's going to work on his route running, catching, and catching traffic. This would have been perfect to get a J.J. McCarthy scenario. You know, you send J.J. McCarthy to go work with like Tom Brady or something in the offseason. That would have been cool. Oh, great. Having another one-on-one with why is it always Justin Jefferson? Nothing good's going to happen out of it. He doesn't need any more XP. And if anything negative happens, he's our superstar player. Doesn't want to pay any income tax. Would I change that about him? I mean, no one wants to pay income tax. So I'm going to be honest and just say, don't want you to change. There's not much we can do about that. I hope that doesn't end up having him send in like a trade request. But, hey, there we go. We gained some trust with Justin Jefferson, which is always good. Spoke too soon. The regression has hit. Not only Aaron Jones. Look at what they did to my boy. Aaron Jones was a at worst, top 5 running back this year. Made the Pro Bowl. And then he just got murdered. 26 points of overall regression. And we go from superstar dev down to a normal. Kind of can't not play with dev trait regression on, but man, it is brutal when it hits. This one's the most disgusting one. We get interception leader, DB of the year, superstar X factor on Stephon Gilmore, and then literally a week later, it's like, all right, here, we're going to hit you with 34 points of regression, and we're going to take away 2 of your dev traits. And of those points already, he already was slow. And they're hitting us -3 acceleration, -3 agility. I think we're at a spot right now where we just let him in the open market. I wouldn't rule out bringing these guys back, especially if we're maybe in wave 2 or 3 of free agency and they're still out there. But the regression has kind of scared me off. Lewis Seen lost his star dev, so we are absolutely going to decline the 5th-year option on him. Gilmore, if there was interest, if I didn't have to overpay on bringing a guy that's just it's only going to get worse, I would be interested in that. Risner lost his, I think he was a star dev, lost his. Interesting one here is Patrick Jones. In real life, I think he's like 2nd in the league in sacks right now. But for a rotational pass rusher that has no interest, I mean, I'll throw him a 1-year deal if he'd take it. Does not. I got N'Keal Harry, the Canadian, trying to give him a second option, but that's a lot of money for a 27-year-old that barely gets any snaps. It's probably best we just rock and roll into. This guy's a pretty decent punter. Will he take a 2-year deal? We even get stood up by the damn punter. So before we start free agency, there's always a little bit of roster trimming that needs to get done. And we got Josh Oliver, and that's an ugly contract. They could save net almost $6 million of salary cap. Yep. So previewing the roster one last time before we get into free agency and ultimately draft where we need to get better. Well, we're going to have a quarterback battle, but I do think it's fair to at least put J.J. McCarthy in the driver's seat. We have Dameon Pierce at running back. Now, when we made the trade with the Texans, we almost assumed that Aaron Jones was going to be one and done, regardless really of how well he played. And we knew we'd be getting Dameon Pierce with an extra year on his contract from his rookie deal. So I mean, I'm perfectly fine with him being our starting running back, but maybe if there's a complimentary option or a real interesting running back on the open market, we could be interested. Plus, he's only on a 1-year contract remaining. So, as it relates to the draft, if there's a really nice running back, and I think I found a couple, that could be a nice fit for us in probably day 2 of the draft. Looking at the rest of the offense, we feel real good about his wide receiver room with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and John Mechie. We feel great about Hawkinson at tight end. We feel great about our 2 tackles here in O'Neal and Darrisaw. The interior is probably, obviously, the weakness of this team. I think we could survive another year with Ingram and Bradbury starting, but that right guard spot is definitely going to be top of our priority list come free agency, or if, maybe day 2 of the draft, if there's a nice looking guard and or tackle who looks like he could play guard. Now, the defense is where things get a little rough. I will say, Asamoah plays a lot better than a 70 overall. I was very impressed when he got out there in the field, so I'm not maybe as concerned about our linebacking core as it may be like if we were doing like a fast 5-year rebuild or something like that. I'd be like, we got to get some guys with dev traits and stuff like that. I do think, especially in Ivan Pace's case, he's pretty close to a dev trait. At safety, we got Bynum, Harrison Smith coming back. Now, this was painful to see Josh Metellus just lose a dev trait. I thought he played pretty well last season. He's only 27, so I feel like the kind of player that should not be losing a star dev trait. But ultimately, we have a lot of depth still at safety, so I'm not overly concerned there. But while we're good at safety, that does not mean I'm happy with the secondary. As outside of Byron Murphy, we got a Caleb Evans, Dwight McLaughlin, and I guess Metellus is our slot, but corner is a big area of need for us. Corner is where we set our focus scouting for the upcoming draft class, and there's some pretty good corners there, and I would not be surprised, depending on how the board falls, if corner ends up being where we go with the first or potentially second pick of our draft. Finishing up with the front, Dallas Turner's a stud. John Grenard, maybe the lack of dev trait kind of sucks. Harrison Phillips just lost his star dev trait, but Phillips and Grenard are solid starters, but definitely bringing in another defensive tackle, switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3. It was always going to be a need this offseason. Is near the top of the list. So I would say offensively, a guard for sure. Defensively, corner 2, another starter, and a defensive tackle starter. Those are definitely what we need to try to prioritize, be it free agency or the draft. Oh yeah, we also need a punter. So in free agency at running back, nothing that's really screaming out to me. There's a lot of interest in Elijah Mitchell joining the squad, but ultimately I don't think any of these guys are that much of an upgrade over Damian Pierce. And we got Ty Chandler as the speed option in our backfield under contract. So I think we'll probably chill on that spot. However, at right guard, Mekhi Becton, who made the switch from franchise tackle with the Jets, went to the Philadelphia Eagles, kicked inside at right guard, and has looked pretty good. Has interest, 26-78 with a dev trade. Yeah. I'll offer you a 3-year, 22.5. That's a competitive offer. Hopefully the Titans kind of frig off there. If not, we do have a backup option in Brady Christensen, formerly of you might remember him from our Panthers franchise a couple years ago. So outside of Mekhi Becton for our first wave of free agency, which is going to be, I think, competitive between us and Tennessee, but I really do like our offer. Outside of that, I got Joe Asai, who's an athletic pass rusher out of Texas. He's had maybe his most memorable moment was a roughing the passer against the Bengals, which we don't want to talk about that. We're not good, but big time athlete, 91 acceleration, 85 speed, just as a rotational pass rusher, 25 years old. Not going to offer him a crazy offer, just some depth. Here's the interesting one, though. We got Michael Hoyt, 6'4", 310 as an outside linebacker. I know he's been playing some weird positions for the Rams, but 27 years old, 74 overall. He's Canadian. We need D tackle help. He has the build to be a D tackle. You look at the stats, 84 speed, 87 acceleration, 83 strength. You go down here a little bit. It's not perfect, but I almost want to just do this and see what his rating changes to as a D tackle. 77 tackle, 80 hit power, 72 block shed, which is a little low, 75 finesse, 68 power, 82 pursuit. There might be something. This might be a little bit of a cheat code. If I took an 80, I'm not going to say he's going to be in the 80, but if I took an 85, I took Harrison Phillips and made him an outside linebacker, I would expect him in his rating to be this low, but then when I brought him back to D tackle, it'd be a lot higher. So let's see. First wave of free agency. We're going to have to wait on Joe Asai. Oh, we get Michael Hoyt and Mekhi Becton. An absolute coward. Choosing. He doesn't even go to the Titans. He goes to Green Bay. Oh, brutal. All right, but while we're here, we gotta see. Just what the heck does this guy... So he's 74 as an outside linebacker. 310. There's no way he's actually... I've seen him play. He does look weird playing that spot, but there's no way he's 310. He's probably like 280, 285. Oh, okay. Thought we'd have a little bit of an uptick there. I can't even pivot back to Brad Christensen after losing on Mekhi Becton because he's gone. All right, so we're going to pivot to Jedrick Wills, and this is backed up by the fact that many have been saying he's short for a tackle at 6'4", should kick inside the guard. It's been out there. I'm not just inventing that. I'm not just trying to cheese by bringing a tackle and just making him a guard. There's been conversations, and we'll see if we can pivot here and get Jedrick Wills and move him inside. On the second wave, we were able to get both Jedrick Wills and bring back Troy Anderson for that elite athlete at linebacker. Wills' case, he's a 76 tackle. When we move into his new home at right guard, goes up to a 77, so maybe he was a guard all along, and the Browns have been messing it up. Final mock draft has been posted. This usually gives you the best idea, the best intel for how the draft is going to fall. And I'll say right now, Nelson Whitfield was the corner I would want. Top 5 in true talent, A-zone coverage. He is currently going at pick 6, and we do not pick until pick 10. And they, for some reason, have us taking and projected a freaking day 3 running back. What? Is that telling me that he's going to be great? Okay. Tell you what, we're not doing that. To finish up the final day of free agency, we get Joe Asai's contract over the finish line, and we bring in, because we are lacking a little bit of tight end depth, Tommy Tremble. Out of Notre Dame, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, had some hype around him, only 25 years old, so who knows? Might be able to land on his feet here, make a couple plays for us this season. So now that the combine is over, let me unveil to you my big board. And this big board is, really, it's two things. It's the same way that I would do and mock up a big board in any other rebuild. One are the players that we've scouted. We have Nelson Whitfield. We found him as a top 5 player in this draft. Goes a couple picks ahead of us. If we want him, we're going to have to be aggressive and try to trade up, which I'm not ruling out at this point. But then, we have other corners that are testing out as first-round talents, fully scouted. Javier Jones in the 2nd or 3rd round out of Ohio State, 6'2", is a first-round talent. So arguably, that is the value pick. Staying on the defensive side of the ball, we have a player that's kind of caught our eye for a minute in George Cologne. 6'1", 310. I'll move the webcam just for a second here. And he is, A, one of the most athletic tackles in the class, and B, those letter grades look real nice. But we just signed Hoyt, and I don't know. I'm not ruling it out. I think he'd be a great option. Maybe even the perfect mock draft in my head would be getting Cologne in the 1st round, Jones in the 2nd round, getting 2 first-round talents with our first 2 picks. We also scouted some of the offensive tackles with more so the idea of kicking them inside the guard. We were able to get, not the perfect role. Missed out on Mekhi Becton, but all right with the interior right now after free agency with the offensive line. But Harvey Poole definitely looks like the best player in this year's draft class. It kind of is what it is. But outside of just scouting, and then it's just traits. Like Battles here, he's almost 225, and he ran a 4.4 like flat. So that's interesting speed. We have other players. Wallace, Woodyard, Keys at linebacker. Elite speed. Wheeler and Street, the 2 cheesy nose tackles, have like 40-plus reps on the bench press. Got a bunch of... It looks like there's going to be some value here at running back. Lynn Clay, 2nd, 3rd round. Little rich, but he has the A break tackle, A carry power back, which is the archetype we love to see. Talbridge has crazy bench press. Dunn at fullback has A lead block. B, he's the best blocking fullback in this class. We actually still utilize a fullback on our roster in Ham, who's a little expensive, so maybe we could save some money come late round. I'm not saying I'm going to overdraft a fullback, but if the board presents itself, maybe that's what we do. Caldwell has big-time bench press numbers. Burton has bench press numbers. Shane Griffin at punter. We need a punter. He has A kick accuracy and elite kick power. Anytime you get one of that role, you have a chance of a generational player. So I'm very interested in Griffin. We have Hausler, day 3 pick, but he has A pass blocking at the for a center spot. Very intriguing. We got great letter grades here on Bryce McIntyre at tight end. Don't really need a tight end, but it could be great. Ahmad White is 1,000% going to be a player we draft. You will see once we can get into the combine, but he has, let's just say, He's very fast. He's elite fast, elite acceleration, elite agility, and he has a deep route running. We know, we've seen them in rebuilds. They get generated, and we are very lucky that they decided to bless us with one of these players in our rebuild. We have Sherman at quarterback, one of the only quarterbacks in the class that has elite throw power as a UDFA. Lawson is, you know what, we'll make him our third one just because, for whatever reason, the last mock draft had us take him in the first round. Is that a sign that we should take him and he's an absolute stud? If not, look, another just interesting build. 5'5", 170 for Martin Newkirk at running back. Kind of want to see what that's all about. But all in all, really happy with this class. Wish I had more picks, and I might try to get more picks before all is said and done. So after a little focus scouting there, holy. So Lawson, oh, you remain a favorite. We focus scouted him. He's the guy that projected us getting him in the first round. First, second round talent at running back. 6'1", 220. Letter grades look great. Combine, 4.41. Again, we need this guy. I'm not buying the talent grade 1 second on Ahmad White. A deep route running. He ran 4.27, 4.24 at his pro day. First in the 3-cone, first in the 20-yard shuttle. Elite speed, change of direction, agility, and acceleration. Sir, I almost guarantee you will be a Viking by the end of today. And then we focus scouted Hausler at center, only going off the A pass block. First round talent, day 3 pick. We got some work to do here. I think we got to get a lot more picks. Currently have a first, second, 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'd love more. And honestly, I think what I'm going to try and do is flip some of these 2027 picks to see if I can get anything here in 2025. All right, so we're able to throw Tyquan Thornton, speedster, buried on our wide receiver depth chart, and a 3rd and 5th next year to get the Bears, which is a nice pick in the 3rd round this year. And we're able to send a future 4th, future 5th, and 2 7s. We had 4 7-round picks in 2027, so now we still have 2 to get a 4th round pick this year from the Bucks. Maybe a slight overpay, but you saw that board. We need to get some of these guys. And our final trade's a risky one, and I'm not super happy about it. But I'm going to promise and guarantee myself that that 3rd round pick we just traded for is going to be the center that we scouted. Because we gave up Bradbury and Scene and a 3rd way in 2027. I had to throw that in. I tried to just do Scene, Bradbury in the 6, and it was yellow. We needed to make up a lot of progress bar. So I had to throw in a 3rd round pick 2 years down the line, which I can already see it now. In 2 years, people are like, what the hell was I thinking? But if this draft plays out the way it is, I think we're going to be very happy with the decisions. And on the inverse, if this draft does not play out how it is, if other people have scouted these guys and they go way above their projections and we're left holding the bag, we just kind of destroyed our future drafts. So we originally had our 1st, 2nd, Cleveland's 5th, our 6th, and 7th. And after a bunch of trades where now we only have 3 picks next year, 4 picks in 2 years, which I'm not that worried. We still have our premier picks. We still have our 1st and 2nd rounders in each one of these, and we can always trade back to get more assets. I'm not that worried about it, but we are kind of LA Ramsing it by screwing those picks. But we were able to add another 7th, which we have a couple UDFA players. Sometimes those do go earlier, but ideally we have like 4 or 5 UDFA targets. That'll be nice to grab with those 2 7ths. We're able to add a 4th, 3rd, and 3rd. This is where we need to bring it home. This is where that running back, day 3, anyone that we have scouted day 3 that looks good, we have to be able to get them with these selections. I'm confident that we will be able to. But again, you never know how the board goes. So I am ready. It is draft time. Let's go. All right, let's see the first overall pick, and then we'll get to our selection and kind of recap the board. I'm going to guess that tackle. Poole is going for, Harvey Poole. This guy's an absolute stud. All right. So looking at the board that went in front of us, the mock draft, reign true as the Colts at pick 6 get our scouted top 5 talent corner. Bishop went right ahead of us here. To the Pittsburgh Steelers, who also was a fairly highly graded tackle. But we are now on the clock at pick 10. And I'm going to be honest, Cologne at D-tackle might be where we need to go. So looking at our board here, I think it's best to, let's go by the top of the board. We know we got our gems, but guys that we're only going to have an opportunity to draft here at pick 10. And I think the idea, we got 3, 4 corners that'll have first-round grades. Jones is the only guy that should be available to us at pick 10 in the 2nd round. And he's also the best athlete of the bunch. Like, if I'm looking at, honestly, all things equal between Dell, Brayton, they all look good, but Jones would be the guy that I would say looks the best, and you'll see when we draft him. We got J.P. Lewis on the offensive line, but I feel all right with our O-line, and I just think all in all, Cologne needs to be the pick. Maybe not a home run selection for a top 10 selection. This looks like a guy that I'd feel a lot more comfortable when we usually would draft them, you know, in the 15s and 20s. But you look at it, he's 310 pounds and has the physicals of some of the D tackles that are usually like 280, 290. Elite speed, jumping, first in the 40-yard dash, decent enough bench press, first invert, first and broad, 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle are all pretty nice. So the Cologne Cleanser is coming to the Minnesota Vikings here in the first round. Please be a good roll. I just want a depth trade, to be honest with you. I think the rating's going to be solid. He screams like a 73 or 74. But, and with my bias, you know, getting your first round pick with a hidden dev is very paramount. And 38th in true value, and we get him at 10. He does have a dev trait. Okay. We'll take that. Now back up on the clock at pick 10 in the second round. This is where we hope the corner is still on the board. I was looking at the board, and it looks like he still should be there. Yep. Javier Jones, Ohio State. Now, a little scared by the man coverage. A little bit. D is not what you want to see, but B zone, B catching, 6'2", blue chip program, elite acceleration, great speed, great strength, 4.33 at his pro day. His bench press is great. Maybe not the best jumping, but the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle, I got no worries about it. And let's see what we get. Come on. Come on, hidden def. I have a feeling this might not be it. Combine just not good enough. But he is very happy to put on that hat. And I want to be very happy to see the true value. Yes! Javier Jones, number 7 in true value. Getting him at 42. Hidden dev, 95 acceleration, 94 speed. Let's go! We are now into the third round where we have pick 6 and pick 12, which are nice picks. You know, even though we did make some big trades, the picks that we were getting were high in the round. It wasn't like we're just getting mid or late round picks. We were getting solid selections, which is going to allow us to be aggressive. For up first, I do think we have 2 players left that we need in starting positions. First, we have the player that many thought we'd take in the first round, which I thought was ridiculous. But Kyrie Lawson out of Ohio State going back-to-back Buckeyes. B carrying, B catching, B ball carrier vision, A break tackle. Ran a 4.41. Decent bench press, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. Could be better. Would be nice if one of those ratings on the left-hand side was elite. But this is definitely a guy I think can come in and complement our running back room with Dameon Pierce, with Ty Chandler. Let's see just how good he maybe is. And we love the pick. We love it. We're very happy. He's crying. He can't wait to put on the purple and gold. Great lineage of running backs. And he is 25th in true value, getting him at pick 70. 3 straight hidden dev traits, 91 acceleration, 89 agility, 92 speed. If these ratings are good, this could be one of our all-time classes. Now up next at pick 12, center is still on the board. And I'm going to be honest, this is really, the center and Ahmad White are really the guys that I want to get. But Hausler, we traded essentially Garrett Bradbury. We traded a 76 starting center because we found this guy to come in and be a day 1 starter. 3 A's. D run block's not the best, but he is a scheme fit, has elite agility. Bench press is not too bad. Austin Hausler, you are a Minnesota Viking. After this, I'm going to nuke the webcam here because I might need a little screenshot for a thumbnail. I don't want my webcam being in the goddamn way, but let's appreciate our bell of the ball picks here. We were able to make those trades to get these guys, and they fell to our lap. But can we make it 4 straight home run hidden dev? I mean, we had number 6 in true value at 76. The league shouldn't trade with me. Now our board is completely wide open. I think we just go for the players that I really, really want. Ahmad White, we might be able to wait and see, but I'm going to draft the players that regardless of wait and see, I do not want to lose. Because weird things can happen. Ahmad White, A deep route running, elite acceleration, agility, change of direction, and speed. We know what we're getting. It's just how good is it going to be? Sometimes they're not the best. Sometimes they're a little bit liability catching and route running. But the fact that he has A deep route running, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. I think we are going to have a very, very happy selection here. Look, he's putting the hat on. What do we have here? 87th in true value. Okay, I mean, still a value for where we drafted him. But you look at the profile. Oh, no dev trait. The dev trait streak ends, but you know what? With those athletic traits, I'm not worried about it. And we're going to continue to add some depth in our secondary. We got Isaiah Simmons. Not that Isaiah Simmons, but third, fourth round talent, day 3 pick. Grades aren't the best, but athletically, he's kind of the best guy that's left. Elite agility, change of direction, 4.4 speed, and maybe a chance at a dev trait. 85 in true value, getting him at 141. No dev trait, but great athletic ability, man. That guy is absolutely a slot. Now, I don't think I've ever drafted a fullback, but we're at a spot now. I brought it up, and he's if there's ever going to be a good fullback, it's probably this guy. A lead block, B pass block. So you're like, okay, he's just a pure blocking fullback, right? But he's like 6 feet 230. That's a little bit undersized. You think old school blocking fullbacks, they're like 250, 260. But then you look at the combine, elite acceleration and speed. This guy got some wheels. I'm intrigued. It could be this could be our worst pick. This might be our first pick that is like we're taking the L on true value. But for one of the few teams that still operates a fullback, I do not want an expensive one on our roster in CJ Ham, all due respect. And with this guy's athletic profile, I mean, he can operate a little bit as a power back as well, not just purely a block. What? Number 2? Hidden generational. Let's go! Dudes, if we were any team but if I didn't have a fullback on my roster, I wouldn't, I would just look over the fullbacks. That is absolutely, I mean, we could just kind of continue with the niche picks here. We got Shane Griffin. I mean, if he's going to be good. This is full on, you just got to pay attention. You need a punter? Look at this one, guys. He has A in awareness, which is a huge thing for a punter rating. He has A in kick accuracy, and he doesn't have he's not the perfect roll. You want to see elite and kick power, but I'll be shocked if he's anything lower than a 75. 74, 75. Might get a dev trait. Usually you need the perfect roll of A in power, or elite in power, and A in accuracy. But we need a starting punter. We wanted to get cheaper at fullback, and we got the number 2 player in true value, and I think this guy here should be, punters, sometimes you can cheese that true value. You can get them in like the teens. Let's go! Number 1 player in the class, Shane Griffin. A punter, and what a meme class. The number 1 and number 2 player in this class wasn't the top 5 talent offensive tackle that had all A's. No, it was a punter and a fullback. Sick. All right, with our final pick, we got Dakota Marshall as part of our cornerback script. And just like, look, this, what? UDFA third, fourth round talent? No, duh. B catching, B press, B zone, 6'1" out of Penn State, second in the 40 dash, ran a 4.2 at his pro day. This is going to be an insane draft class. I don't know how it will stand up against the big draft class we had last year in our Arizona Cardinals franchise, which was in like the best draft class I've ever had. But just from initial what I'm getting feedback wise, this could be something. And with the final pick, we get number 95 in true value. So every one of our picks has been a hit. No dev traits. Maybe a little lighter on dev traits down the stretch. It wasn't a perfect. We've had like rebuilds and stuff where we have 5-6 picks, all dev traits. But I think outstanding job. And I'm very happy that we moved around. We didn't even need to. But we did because we got all of our guys. We'll pay the consequences when we need to down the road with the limited draft picks. But every guy we picked, I think there's a chance all of our draft picks are above 70. All right, let's do this moment of truth. Gotta keep the glasses off to believe it. We got the number one. What does a number one talent? So the punter is got to be like 79. The fullback, like I'm gonna say 79 punter, 77 or 78 fullback. They're number one in true value, and they both had dev traits. Moment of truth. George Cologne, 74. 77 for Javier Jones. 75 for Lawson. 77 for Hausler. 71 for White. He's the guy that I was probably the most disappointed with, that I thought was going to be good. 71 for Simmons. 84. 87 punter! What? See, if I was good at YouTube, I would have got an 80 and 87 at positions that matter. You know, first round, 87 D tackle, 80 wide receiver, 80 quarterback. No, here over on C4's YouTube channel, we get number one and number two in a class, and they are a generational fullback and punter, because that's what draws in viewers. But I was right. Every single player in this class is above a 70. 7, 8, 9, 10 picks, all 70 plus. The dev traits, I think at the end of the day, will deem if this class tops some of the ones that we have with the Arizona Cardinals. The big one with the Marcus House class. For those of you that remember that, we drafted like a generational tight end. We had a corner that quickly became an X factor. We had a running back that became a superstar very quick. Like, it was an outstanding class. But this on paper, I mean, that's just memes aside, right? We're probably never going to truly notice the value of having a great fullback or a great punter, even though maybe we'll up the gongs a little bit. That is the highest rated player I think I've drafted in Madden 25. 87. They even make them that high? That is nuts. Like, looking at the rest of the class, the big two that we saw, one was Harvey Poole here at offensive tackle. 78, just because, you know, it's no harm, no foul. I do want to peek under the hood here. Because, what do we got here? So it's superstar. So yeah, he is very much a bona fide first overall pick. And then we had the corner that went to the Colts. He was top 5, 79. We thought about maybe trading up for him. I would have been very disappointed because it would have probably cost us a pretty penny. We wouldn't be able to have the draft that we ended up having, and it would have been trading up for a normal dev player. But that will never not be funny. 87 punter, we got him. 80 fullback, we got him. Hausler at 77. I mean, he's, yeah, again, another just absolute baller of a pick. Jones in the second round, a baller of a pick. I don't know. Very happy right now. That is awesome. 87 punter. What does it show, like, where he ranks in the league? Like, is he already, like, he's the number one punter in the league. Incredible. So there you go, fellas. I think that is a perfect way to end up our offseason here with the Minnesota Vikings. Let's generate our best lineup and just see where the class we had kind of fits in. So we got that's a fullback, who cares? But we got Hausler now, who's going to anchor the offensive line. Lawson is going to come in, and I think maybe there's a little bit of a positional battle there. I think Lawson and Pierce are going to have one. I think even though McCarthy has the inside track, if Sam Darnold plays lights out, you know, we'll play that by ear, how that goes through. But interesting development in the backfield. You flip to the defense. Cologne's going to be a day one starter at D tackle. We're going to be able to rotate in Hoyt, who I'm very intrigued with his skill set, how that actually feels when we use him on the D line there. We got Jones in the second round, who's going to start on the outside of Byron Murphy Jr., which I'm happy with that pick. We added a little bit nice depth there as well to that secondary. And then do I have to label this my best pick ever? I don't really want a punter being tied to my best pick ever, but probably the best pick I've ever made is a freaking punter. So S-tier draft class, do need to obviously wait to see a little bit on what the dev traits are to truly see if they stand up well. But with all that blue, there's no way they're all just star devs. We got to have a couple special players there under the hood. But that'll do it for me here today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. We'll be back next episode. We'll get through the preseason and get into year 2 with almost certainly J.J. McCarthy finally getting to play some snaps here, some meaningful regular season snaps with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm excited to see how he plays. I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to be a damn good team, especially with that kind of draft. That can definitely be a needle mover from a franchise here last year in Minnesota that there was a moment thought we were going to make the playoffs, and then things kind of collapsed, and then we fixed the defense, and it was just kind of a too little, too late kind of solution and situation. We're going to be very, very confident going into year 2 that we're going to do some damage. But that is for another time. Thank you guys very much for watching, and until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya, have a good one.